Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. In this video we're going to keep looking at Magic 2011 and we're going to move on and look at Power of Prophecy, which is a blue and white deck. So let's dive in, start looking at this. So the foil face rare is Conundrum Sphinx. So it's 2 and 2 blue for a 4/4 flyer, which is like, honestly, that's pretty good stats. That's Air Elemental for 1 cheaper. But it has this extra effect. So when it attacks, each player names a card. Then each player reveals the top card of their library. If the card they named is the top card, they basically put it into the hand. If not, they put it on the bottom of the library. So there is some top deck manipulation in this deck. Not too much, actually. I thought there was more in M11, but there isn't really. You've got, because Scry comes back in this set, but it is only on a few cards in blue. And there is a artifact that actually scry as well. But there's not too much, but like even so, if you can set up your scry, then then this works out pretty well because you're essentially getting a card draw when you attack. It does also potentially benefit your opponent because they can just name a card and potentially draw it. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is, just it being a 4/4 flyer for 4 is honestly, I think, enough. And like this extra effect is, I wouldn't rely on it. Yeah, because there's not really enough top deck manipulation in the deck to make it a guaranteed thing. So I would just treat it as a 4/4 flyer with a bit of upside. Like if you draw a card from it, fine. If not, then whatever, it's fine. At least it's not like being discarded or anything. It just goes on the bottom of your library. So yeah, this is okay, I think. So we have 2 Augury Owls. So this is Sage Owl's replacement. So 1 in the blue for 1/1 flyer when it enters the battlefield, scry 3. Yep, this is like a pretty solid effect, I think. 1/1 flyer that lets you scry 3 for only 2, I think is pretty good. You potentially set up your next 3 turns, or if there's any cards in there which are kind of dead draws, you can just put them on the bottom of the library. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. Would have liked maybe a 3rd one in here, I think, because obviously then it plays better with the Conundrum Sphinx. But yeah, I think it's fine just having 2 of them. Single scroll thief, 2 and a blue for a 1/3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Yep, this is okay, I think. Perfectly fine cost. I think this is, essentially a. There's a really classic old blue card, Ophidian, which is almost exactly this. But it has like a weird activated ability, like you can't do, I think, damage and draw the card in the same turn. So it's just like a, tidied up version of it. But yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. So the other rare is Stormtide Leviathan. So 5 and 3 blue. Triple colors does hurt in these 2 color decks. Actually, I think all the decks we've looked at so far have had a triple color rare in them. Anyway, so it's 8 mana for an 8/8 with Island Walk. When it's in play, all lands are islands in addition to other types, and creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack. So this is essentially an 8/8 unblockable. Because obviously it turns your opponent's opponent's lands into islands, and it's then unblockable because it's got Island Walk, and it also locks down creatures that don't have Island Walk or flying. Which against against green decks, this is not a great time for them. Obviously this really limits what they can do in response to you. I think this is like a pretty solid rare, honestly. Really. It has a really nice like core set feel to it, and like it's a big flashy effect that I think a new player would really like. I really like it. I think it's really, really fun effect. I would have liked this to be the the foil face rare. I think it would look great. And always nice to see a Leviathan. They're not a properly represented creature type in my opinion. But yeah, this is a really fun rare, I think. 2 Air Servants, so 4 and a blue. So Air Elemental is not in this set, and so we got the Servants, who are kind of like a new take on Elementals. So Air Servant is 4 and a blue for a 4/3. So it's almost Air Elemental. Has flying and 2 and a blue to tap target creature with flying. This is pretty fun, I think. Just taps down other flyers, so either they can't block Air Servant or they can't attack you. This goes well with Stormtide Leviathan because the few creatures with flying your opponent might have that can attack. You just tap them down so they can't. So yeah, I think Air Servant's pretty fun. And even if you don't use that effect, it's still a 4/3 flyer. We have 2 Water Servant, which is the other blue elemental. 2 and 2 blue for 3/4. It has these 2 abilities, which are essentially opposites of each other. You can spend a blue to increase its power but decrease its toughness, or you can spend a blue to decrease its power and increase its toughness. So yeah, this is pretty fun. Just I don't think it's as good as Air Servant just because it doesn't have evasion. But it's okay. The fact that this it can go up to being a 6/1, I suppose, and I suppose it'd be all right. Yeah, probably not the best of the elementals. I think it's definitely Air Servant and Fire Servant were the best to have the 4 new elementals. Anyway. Single Wall of Frost, so this is carried over from N10. This is a really great defender. 1 and 2 blue for a 0/7. Whenever it blocks a creature, that creature doesn't untap during its control's next untap step, so it just freezes them down. Notably, it doesn't tap them if they were untapped, like a creature with vigilance, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think it's pretty. At 3 mana, being a 0/7 is fairly chunky and having this effect, so it's a really nice deterrent because people don't want to attack into this and kind of have a creature locked down for a whole turn. Yeah, I think Wall of Frost is pretty good. A single Harbour Servant, so this ties in nicely with the Stormtide Leviathan. 4 and a blue for a 5/5 with Island Walk. We barely ever see Island Walk anymore, which I'm kind of glad with because it's an ability that only affects certain decks. It's like you play this. Are you playing blue? Then sorry, you can't deal with this. You're playing any other colour. Well, now I've just overpaid for a 5/5, I suppose. And it can't attack unless there are 5 or more islands on the battlefield, which is kind of a negligible drawback, honestly, because, you're playing blue, I guess you're pretty likely to have 5 or more islands, like blue is the primary colour in this deck. And obviously when Stormtide comes in, everything is an island, so yeah, this is alright, I think, as a common, I think it's okay. And then 2 Cloud Elementals, 2 and a blue for 2/3 flyer, and it has high flying, so it can only block other creatures with flying. This is fine. 3 mana, this is okay. So we have 2 Ether Adept. So this was a new card in M11 that I really liked because it's essentially it's not Mana War. Mana War is like the benchmark because Mana War is 2 and a blue, and this is 1 and 2 blue. However, it has a human wizard, so it has better tribal applications, I suppose. But it's 2/2 and it enters the battlefield to return a creature to owner's hand. So yep, it's just a 2/2 that does unsummon at sorcery speed, which is perfectly fine for a common, I think. This is a really nice little card to have in here, I think, and a nice extra thing to have in Blue's toolbox and core sets, because I think it gets reprinted a few more times, because it's just very solid. A single Azure Drake, just 4 mana for a 2/4 flyer, sure. And 2 Maritime Guard, just 1 and a blue for a 1/3. Yep, perfect. Yep, again, these are perfectly fine blue defensive creatures. And then we have a single Armored Cancrix, which is 4 and a blue for a 2/5. This is not so good. This is a little overcosted, I think. But whatever, it's fine. This could have been 2 and 2 blue and be a 2/5, and it would be okay. Then it'd be because we've established what colours can get a 2/4 for 4 mana. Those are still not great, but yeah, this is just a little expensive. I kind of wish it did something else, even if it was just, I don't know, an ability that increased its toughness or something. I don't know, but it's it's okay. It's a card you would cut out straight away, basically. And we also have a single Blinding Mage, so 1 and a white for a 1/2. You pay 1 white, tap target creature. So yeah, it's just Master Decoy. Yeah, which is perfectly fine. I really like Master Decoy effects. Stops big attackers, gets blockers out of the way. Yep, perfectly fine card to have in it, and it goes really well with what the deck's doing, which is it's standard white-blue kind of soft control options. So yeah, it's good. So Mind Control has been reprinted from N10 with much better art. So 3 and 2 blue, enchant creature. You control an enchanted creature, which is very, very straightforward and very useful, good effect. So yeah. 2 4Cs, so this is one of the other few scry effects. So 3 and a blue, sorcery, you scry 4, then draw 2. So yeah, this is perfectly fine, really nice being able to scry 4 before you draw your 2. Just to make sure you're definitely getting the cards you want. Even out those 4, you just put the 2 you want on top, and then you draw them. Or if all 4 are bad, you put them all on the bottom of your library. So yeah, I like 4C. 2 Jace's Ingenuity. So this is one of the Planeswalker sort of signature synergy spells. So 3 and 2 blue, just instant speed, draw 3 cards. Yeah, it's pretty good. So a lot of card draw actually in this deck with 4C and Jace's Ingenuity. But yeah, Jace's Ingenuity is really nice to play at the end of an opponent's turn and then draw an extra 3 ready for your next turn. Yeah, really nice card. 2 negates just count as a non-creature spell. Yep, perfectly fine. And 2 sleeps. So some really strong control options actually in this deck in terms of just stopping your opponent doing anything. Sleep's really good. Taps all their creatures down, and they don't untap during the next untap step. So yeah, just locks them out for a couple of turns. Yep, really strong. Single Grack, we've got to have Grack. it's a core set deck with white in it. We've got to have Grack. Single Safe Passage, just to prevent damage that would be dealt to you and creatures for a turn. Yeah, so it's really nice like one-sided fog effect, which is pretty good, I think. Single Condemn, to put an attacking creature on the bottom of one's library, and then they gain life equal to toughness, but it's fine. You'd rather them gain life than have a big creature, I suppose. Single Mighty Leap. I don't know if it's putting too much weight in this deck, just because a lot of the creatures in here are already flying, so really it's just an expensive way of giving +2/+2, but it's still okay. And a single Solemn Offering just for some utility. I don't think this has actually shown up in any of the decks we looked at so far. Maybe, I can't remember. But yeah, it's just it's sorcery speed disenchant with some life gain stapled onto it, so it's okay. It's okay, I suppose. And then Crystal Ball, so this is like your reliable, repeatable scry. So 3 mana artifact, 1 tap, scry 2. So obviously the dream is having this out at the same time as Conundrum Sphinx, because then you can scry, see what the top card is, then you attack with Conundrum Sphinx, you name the card you put on top, and then you get to draw it. So yeah, that's the dream. Even if you don't get that out, just being able to like scry 2 for 1 whenever you need to is like really good. Just to keep setting up like your top deck. Yeah, really nice card to have. Kind of wish there'd been another one in the deck as well, just have 2 of them, but it's fine as is. And then 16 island and 9 planes. So yeah. So what could have been? So again, the rares I think are actually the best. Like Stormtide Leviathan, I think is really good. It doesn't maybe exactly go with what the deck's proposed strategy is, which is some scry. It's just a big creature, which is fine because you need that to close out a game. And the Conundrum Sphinx is okay. I think you just view it as a 4/4 flyer with just an ability that's useful sometimes. The other cards, I think the other card selection is generally okay. Yeah, I don't think maybe the Armored Cancrix is like the only thing that jumps out as being like pretty bad, but you've got to have like some pretty bad cards in these core set decks just to sort of teach deck building. But what we could have had Preordain in here because it's another scry effect, although adding it would make the deck not modern legal because Preordain is banned. Diminish I thought could be a fun combat trick, just a single blue mana to make a creature base power and toughness 1/1 till end of turn, which is really good fun. Single blue, I always thought this was like a really strong trick, but I don't know, maybe that's just me showing my casual side. And Call to Mind, just a useful way of getting instants or sorceries back from your graveyard back into hand. So yeah, I thought all those could have been in here, but I think as it is, I think it's pretty solid. Like all of them we looked at so far. I think the card selection is pretty good, mostly because I think M11 is like a really solid core set. It feels hard to make a bad deck with it just because the card pool is very good. So yeah, this is perfectly fine. I would actually say maybe pretty good. I would hazard a guess. It hurts me to say something good about white and blue deck, but yeah, I would say this one is actually pretty good. But those are my thoughts after looking at the deck. If you've got any thoughts, stories, comments, opinions about this deck, please put a comment below. Always like reading those. I'll be back next time to look at another M11 intro pack. But until then, thanks for watching and listening. Have a great day.